have a successful family, have a great, powerful relationship with your husband, and being a great mother, a great, successful woman following your career. How in earth you manage this? So, Anita, thank you for joining us again. It is really an honor and a great pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Mirela, for that wonderful introduction. And it's an absolute honor to be here amongst amazing women, Global Women Club. So, really delighted. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Wonderful. So, Anita, in fact, sometimes I see that we as women struggle to position ourselves in one particular area because we have so many hats. And it happens that we don't have just a business, but also we have a social enterprise, and then we have a charity, and we have a family, and we do so many things in the same time. And every time when I think about having many hats, I think about you. In fact, you are a woman who wears many hats. And in the same time, you have managed to save that balance. You are a successful mother, a great entrepreneur, and a great role model as a wife as well. Because sometimes we think that, okay, I can't do both. I can follow my career, but I can't spend that much time in the family. But you have shown us that you definitely have found that formula, how to create that balance and have a successful family, have a great, powerful relationship with your husband, and being a great mother, a great, successful woman following your career. How in earth you manage this?
That's an amazing question. Thank you, Mirela. Focusing on one task at hand is, I think, really important. Finding that time to focus and segmenting your time, and using the resources to help support your lifestyle. So those are, I think, two of the main things that I do to help me to do all the different angles of our life to support each other. And most importantly, I think, is because I give so much to Avnish and our lifestyle, he also supports my work, my lifestyle, and acknowledges how important it is for me to shine in those areas that I love to do. Now, I'm just like every other woman, I'm struggling a little bit with menopause. I've just the other day changed my tablet because there's areas in my life that perhaps were going a little bit downhill, and just taking a look at myself medically, what's going on for me as well, emotionally, with my hormones, and taking care of those areas of my life. And I hope that helps everybody.
One thing that I have really always admired you, Anita, is when you take a microphone and start talking about relationships, and where do the relationships start? Where do we learn how to build relationship, and what it takes to build that healthy, positive relationship? Because that is the key. So first, it starts from you, and then it starts by investing in that real loving relationship. Because the fact that we become independent and you don't need men anymore to support us financially, as it used before, that doesn't mean that we don't need men in our life. And that doesn't mean that we don't want to partner and collaborate with men. That doesn't mean that we don't want them to be part of our journey. And you definitely have some key elements on how to involve men in that journey. And probably you can show us, how did you manage? Because your love story, it's incredible. It's one of the most inspirational stories I can imagine, because you found your true love at a time where probably somebody else would think, oh, it's too late for me now, I give up, and you have no more hope. But you didn't. You believed on that, and you attracted exactly what you thought you deserve. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, thank you, Mirela. This takes me back to 2011 when I first was married. I was married for 15 years, and my first husband sadly passed away from a chronic illness. And it was very sudden, actually. My daughter was only 13 years old at the time. I was 38. And I'd always been in a relationship. So from the age of 17, I was with my first husband. And we knew each other for years. We grew up together. We were married in our 20s. And he was only 40 years old when he passed away. But I learned an awful lot and what kind of relationship that I didn't want to be in ever again. But what I also loved about being in a relationship was I loved being married. I loved being in love, and I loved doing something for my partner, my child, and I loved that family coming together, with your immediate family. So that would be our extended family. So for me, that was a really important value in my life. And when I lost Norinder to his illness, I was on a path of discovering who I was and what I really wanted in my life. Felt like I didn't really have any breathing space until then. My sleep improved radically. Although I did lose quite a bit of weight during that time of grief, that 1 year, that first year was really, really difficult for me. I'd cry 5-6 times a day. I was a teacher in a secondary school. I went back to school, I think 5 weeks after he passed away. And I just thought I needed to be near another family, which was my work colleagues, my students. I went back into the classroom, and my students, and the naughtiest students, were supporting me and were encouraging me to, come on, miss, you can do this. And when I'd cry, they'd support the discipline of the class. In fact, I didn't really have any discipline problems. Young people really do understand what challenges and how to support their teacher during hard times, and they really did that. 5 months later, I thought I was throwing myself in my work. 5 months later, we had an Ofsted inspection, and I was given an outstanding teacher. I've been teaching for almost, I think, 18 years at that point. And for me, I cried and cried in the head teacher's office when I found out that I was an Ofsted outstanding teacher. For me, I felt that if I could do all of this in 5 months after losing my first husband, in my grief, that there's so much more I can do in my life, that I haven't even unlocked my true potential. From that day, I had a realization that if I can do this during my grief, what can I do when I'm happy? What else can I do? And I got to live with that there is too much more inside me that needs to be uncovered and revealed to the world. And that's where I started my own personal development journey. And then I think a few months later, I was going through some difficult financial times with, obviously with my late husband's business and everything. And I decided to do a vision board. And that vision board was on a big piece of A3 paper, scrap piece of paper I found in my science lab. And I sat at home, and my mum said to me, "What are you doing? It's so silly. Why are you wasting your time?" And I reassured her, and I said, "No, I've watched The Secret, the film, and I really think that this may work for me. I don't know, I don't care, let me try." So everything that was in my head, I put down on paper. So using pictures, magazines, and writing things and drawing things. And I put everything down back in 2012, this was, a good 9-10 months after Norinder passed away. And I felt a sense of relief after doing that, because I felt I could breathe. I could see my life. I could see a future. I could see a future I could live into. By creating that, I think that set me on a path of growing my mindset and being open to, achieving some of these things that I put on there, because I made a commitment and a promise to myself. And I think that's really important when you do that. And that's it. My journey began.
Is there any formula about that? And how do we keep that up all the time? And even in the moments where we feel down, where we feel we are approaching that dark zone, where everything is so dark, how do we keep the faith and the belief and that green light on, so we can keep going and never give up on achieving what we always meant to achieve?
That's such a powerful question. And recently I've been doing some work in schools. And one of the things that one of my workshop leaders always talks about is, how you hold your body, all those chemicals that your body can release, the dancing, the singing, the lymphosizing, how you hold yourself, what you focus on. He calls it the triangle. And, I always love this, because I'm so fortunate, because I get to be in that personal development space with the children at school, and it helps me in my life. So we talk about this triangle about the body, and I really truly believe that Only you can take care of your body. No one else can. That's it. And your mind, Mirela, you've written a wonderful book, Don't Lose Your Mind. And this is it. How do you look after your sensory field? On one of my podcasts, Tosin Oganusi speaks about this very thing. There's two holes, one here and one here. And between these two holes is your entire sensory field. And how you manage your sensory field is down to you. And it all happens here, in this space here. So the mind, when you focus on, and also the visual images that you create in your mind as well. I visualize everything. I'm such a visual learner. I see things that are done even before they're done. Let me give you a very silly and small example. For example, if we have guests around for dinner and, curries are very easy to cook. I will literally visualize all my curries cooked and ready to serve. And then I'll put my 4 pans down on my gas cooker and I'll start cooking them all. Within an hour, my cooking is done. And people are astonished in how I do that. But because I've already visualized my dishes, I just quickly get on with it and just get it done. I just do it. So I think using the mind images is very powerful. And I think that's how I've led my life. And I go back to how I've created that life is not only through vision boards, but talking about what I want in my life to the right people who will help me, support me, alert me to opportunities. And I'm very specific about the goals that I set. And through the goal setting workshops that we do, and also what I've done in my life, especially after, say, it's been 10 years now, over the 10 years, I can't recognize myself now, Mirela.
What you're saying is that you have managed to transform your life. And what you're saying is that everybody has the power and the possibility to change, to transform, to create, to recreate, to reprogram, and it is possible.
Always, every single time. I believe I'm a living example of that. Let me just share one thing with you. When my husband was so ill and so in and out of hospital, Simmon's father, and my whole, and there was a lot more to the story. There was drugs, there was alcohol abuse. My family, my parents and his parents used to say, I don't know how you live with him. I don't know how you cope. And, it's almost to the point where I saw myself as a savior. I'm going to save this man. After having read the book, Are You the One for Me by Barbara De Angelis, after he passed away, I got to realize that I was just, living my life with a man I should never have been with. There was huge incompatibility. And I was, putting up with standards that were really not acceptable again and again. And I think I just didn't set my boundaries, and I lost my self-worth in that process or in that marriage. In this marriage, which again, what I did was on my vision board, I put up a picture of a man and a woman watching a sunset in one of these holiday magazines I found, cut that out and stuck it in the corner of my vision board. And I knew that I wanted to attract somebody amazing into my life, somebody who I would spend the rest of my life with and have so much joy from that, dynamic collaboration, the joy that you get when you watch TV together, or, you've been in lockdown together with, or, you're going on a trip you're going to explore the world with. I really valued that I really valued for me a man's companionship. And I knew I was going to attract that into my life. And I did date, a year after my first husband passed away, because I needed to take massive action if that's what I wanted to do and attract. And I attracted Anish into my life. And I think that the vision board and visualizing that had a huge part to play. And then telling other people about it, that I wanted to meet somebody, that helped me a lot.
Wow. I think many of women who are listening right now, they are resonating in one way or another. So Anita, thank you so much for being so open and so honest and so transparent. And we are very excited to see these amazing real stories that, in fact, they don't happen only in the movies or fairy tales, they happen into the real life. And thank you so much for being part of this again.